So what's good for the weekend?
I got physio at 3:30 today. Then we got dinner at 5:30.
Hey.
And then, which I'm a horrible drawer. We're gonna do some. We're gonna try to draw each other. So I told her, I'm like, hey, listen,
that's a date. I'm assuming it's like a.
No, we got the home kit. We got the home kit, right? So we got the home painting.
Yeah.
Kit. I'm gonna attempt, but I'm gonna be honest. Like I was stuck to stick figures throughout the whole.
You and I both, brother.
Right? So she's like, you gotta try. I'm like, I promise, I will try, but I don't know how it's gonna go.
I think it's gonna go well because you're giving it the old college try, bro. That's all that matters.
It's not even a community college try. I'm gonna give it the Ivy League try, but it doesn't mean it's gonna come out good,
That's
right?
Okay, bro.
Like I'll bring it in as well too to see how embarrassing this painting is gonna be. Are you
gonna bring it in?
Yeah, I'll bring it in. I'll see how
You're a
it
good
is.
sport, man. You're a good sick sport,
I don't know if I should, but it's gonna be absolutely horrible. I'm like in my head, I'm preparing for this, but I just don't think I'm gonna be able to come out on the other side.
I like it, man. I like it. That's gonna be fun.
I'm not good at drawing, dude. I don't know.
Neither am I, bro. Neither am I. I just don't. I haven't tried in years. I gotta tell you the truth. But I gotta do this. There goes a PHIO into the high of the day. There's 180. We got 64s on. I know that's Neil's beautiful mug there on the bottom left of the screen. We got 64s. We're looking for 85 next. We're still holding some shares. We're going to keep a look at this. Always be thankful says, set up a Picasso hat. There you go. I like that.
Yeah, I'll get the French hat on the side and stuff like that. I'll do everything.
You need that like French music. You know, like
yeah, we'll get into some little background,
gallivanting
like we're in the hills or something like that, painting. I won't be biting off any ears though. You got that one, right?
Van Gogh.
Was he French?
I don't know. I have no idea, bro. I just know, I know very little about fine art. It's just not my thing, bro.
I like the...
All right, here's PHIO again. I know we have to go to the boys, but it's at the high of the day. It's at 180. It's taking out the sellers. It's up 45 and change. It could be on its way to 2. There's a $2 resistance shelf that we saw on the daily. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend, man. Long weekend.
Yes.
Nothing on Monday.
What are you doing? You never said what you were doing. Chilling with Betty and Vaughn.
Yeah. I got
a couple gym sessions.
I'm going up to the parents, so we'll have a we're going up on Monday. Yeah. All right, guys. I'll see everybody shortly at the big desk. For now, I was about to say Neil and Sean. Obi and Neil are that away.
Great show, everybody. And just remember, Sharif, appreciate you, brother, but keep your eyes off my screens, bro. I don't know why you have to look at my charts when you have your own charts. We all have our own charts that we could look at.
Let me screen watching.
It's just he's sitting there, and it's like he's got charts in front of him, but he has to be all up in my chart.
I like
so
the
that
charts,
No, it's so that you know, because I do it all the time, where like I can know what's going to be coming next because I'll cheat, and then this is the symbol that we're going to talk about in the rundown. So he wanted to know what I was going to talk about next because I always have the chart up. And this is a little broadcasting thing that, because I'm a professional broadcaster now. See, you know you're going to talk about something, you prepare the visual ahead of time. Now, 75% of the time, or I just made that number up, I actually won't do that, and you'll see me actually flipping stocks. Let's go talk about Robinhood, and I'm typing in Robinhood, and then we're flipping to it. But as you can tell, I'm going to mention Transocean and Rig here because I have eyeballs on Rig. And the eyeball is the all-day trend line. It is all-day, Sharif.
Sharif with the ad-libs here.
You guys can't hear Sharif, but when somebody is just giving like they're doing the hype man thing, where they'll just say like the last word that you said every single time. So Sharif has been doing that since I started talking, and it's freaking hilarious. But anyways, I lost my train of thought, but trend break potentially on Rig. It's been an absolute rocket ship to the upside. The market's been okay, it's green, but we still don't have like a super volatile day in the overall market, but there have been some massive runners. And apparently, Sharif, PHIO just went. Hey. There it goes. The last time Sharif told me there was a flat top break? Yesterday. Right? And then it ended up, I remember, I forget the name of the stock. And then it didn't break the top, and then there was the most gorgeous trend break ever. But everyone was sitting there for the breakout of the high. But there's PHIO, so if you're waiting around for that in the midday, you've now got it to set upside. I am in BMNR, but that doesn't look like it wants to go anymore. I was looking at this because IBIT was at the highs, I'm like, oh, this is bouncing off VWAP when we're at the highs. Let's see if there's a little bit of catch up there. BMNR is lagging a little bit from the rest of crypto. ETH is doing the same thing as Bitcoin. Oh, we got KC. Awesome week. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks and have a great weekend. You have a great weekend too. Everybody
Long weekend, yeah.
It's a long weekend. Obviously, that means the markets will be closed on Monday, but I know Sharif said he's going to be chilling out with family. Long weekend plans?
Yeah, just going to be working on some trading stuff, some journal stuff. Yeah.
He's always working. He's like Michael Noss. Just look charts, looking at charts, going over trade plans.
I mean, I'll chill out as well. Maybe do some gaming. See.
What's the game you're playing now?
Right now, I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy, which is actually, it was surprisingly good. Let's say that. I thought it was going to be like, you know, the last I guess Harry Potter related game that I played was on the PlayStation 1. And it was kind of clunky, but it was fun, good memories. But Hogwarts Legacy, totally different vibe than I expected it to be, and it's actually a lot of fun. It's actually a lot more difficult than I expected it to be as well. Yeah,
I'm old, man. All games are difficult.
No, I'll show you some videos from it. I mean, I don't know how much of a Harry Potter fan you are, but you know, I know you like Star Wars. I know you like Star Trek.
I'll be straight up. I've watched the first movie.
Okay.
My daughter's into it. We watched the first movie, nothing past that. My roommate at university was absolutely obsessed with it, to the extent that, I mean, he's a grown man now. He still loves some Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's cool. Adrian's like, you're a great dude, man, but he really loves Harry Potter. I tried to read the books, and I'm always reading. I'm never not reading. I really did try to read. I just couldn't get into it.
I mean, those books are amazing.
And I'm one of those people, if I try to read something or watch something, if I can't get into it, I'm not gonna force the issue. I just gave up. It just wasn't for me, man.
No, that's fair. I mean, I actually stood in line for the last few books on release day. So and then I finished them in pretty much I think 1 week. I remember distinctly like the fifth one was pretty thick, and I finished that in about a week, just nonstop. Day and night, I just read. I'd like wake up, start reading, and I'd read by the time, like, you know, only get up for like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then go to bed. But yeah, no, I was a big fan growing up, and the game is amazing, absolutely amazing. But yeah, no.
Well, gaming stocks, however.
Yes, that's a whole different story, is it?
Like, the volatility. Like, you talk about what has been strong and what has been weak and what is dead may not die. Like, I don't know, Unity is getting woodshedded still, unfortunately. And look, don't get me wrong, I'm only bringing that up because it happens to be on topic. Ooh, Adam James abroad, and a couple people are mentioning that RIME is going again. Algorithm Holdings. These guys are the ones who had the headline that disrupted all of the transportation names, and it looks like we are continuing with, I forget the reason why, if there's even a good reason why they have this ticker, Algorithm Holdings, RIME. I don't know if we covered that, but it's finally making a move. You talk about something that was doing like some weird, odd barcoding. You don't usually see this, but that's a good pattern, everybody. There's your wedge pattern. Here's your breakout. It's just gone so far. Let's see if it can give some kind of a dip into the prior high. But RIME on the move, and remember this one, it did play into these highs yesterday. So this is more or less a double top from the 140 into 150 on Algorithm Holdings. So you take that breakout, you probably want to make sure you take something out. And I don't know that it has the same kind of, the pattern and the structure of PHIO just looks so much better. But yeah, some small cap runners. The market is not doing much of anything. I'll be real with you. But Shree's very excited about PHIO. Are you still in this thing? No. Oh. Well, he's covered in the high break, but he's still cheering for the stock to go higher, everybody.
I think the market has broken out of that range that we were holding for a good part of the morning session. We saw that come in, when was this? Around 11 o'clock. So coming into the close of the morning show, we saw that it was trying to trek a little bit higher. Now we're consolidating near the highs there. And you talked about 25,000. guess what? We're knocking on the door of 25,000. But when I'm looking at, it's just so many top wicks here on the 15-minute, and not many 15-minute candles left to go, Neil. Only about, what, like 6 of them, 7 of them, I don't know. But Apple looking distinctly different. We were talking about how Apple was, maybe there were some sellers yesterday, perhaps, and today, more of the same. Coinbase is another one which is looking closer to the market there. Maybe Bitcoin is up on the day as well. 167 is very, very strong here on Coinbase. Earnings day one on this one, but take a look at Apple, man. I'm watching this one. We talked about that 260 being a little bit of a key level. It gave it to you here, maybe a little bit later on in the day as well. Multiple times, just cannot get above VWAP. The one time we do get above VWAP here, we go up to 261 halves, and then slam right back in, and we're consolidating near the lows here, Neil. So I'm watching this. Day lows coming in at 258.37s. What else is distinctly different relative to Apple? And I'm just looking at, let's take a quick look at Meta, because Meta I don't really keep eyes on. Tesla is the one I want to talk about. Tesla showing some strength when it comes to these Mag 7s. But right now, we are ready for the rundown. So let's see what you guys voted on. Sharif?
I wonder.
Welcome, everyone, to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every afternoon. Obi, you saw him. He's in for Sean. Neil, he's locked and loaded, and he's ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. But the only way to get your tickers on the Afternoon Rundown is to join us bright early in the chat and vote for your favorite tickers. You can vote any time of day. Cutoff time is 2 o'clock. And make sure to throw in that $sign before you vote. Otherwise, it does not register. Let's look at the Qs. We haven't fully recovered from the massacre yesterday. We've recovered a little, let's say half, up 0.75% on the triple Qs. The SPY, a little bit less, 0.5%. The Dow, the worst performing of all 4 major averages, but it made all-time highs not long ago, up 0.41. Leading the way, though, is the Russell 2000 ETF IWM, up 1 3/4, the strongest by far of the 4 major averages. Let's look at the first name as decided by you, almost at day's high, but $1 off right now. Coinbase, stellar report there. A lot not to like, especially with the crypto trading, but it's buoyed by the stock buybacks, a revenue diversification as I look to get into the prediction markets, and the legislation outlook, guys, something we haven't been talking about lately.
Yeah, I mean, the chance that people have said that they've bungled the whole Clarity Act and all that stuff. I don't know that you go that far. It feels like the kind of thing that gets done eventually. But sometimes it's more about do as we say. Was that an alarm?
No.
I keep hearing it. I felt like I heard your phone. It doesn't matter. I feel like it's like do what we say and not what we do, because it's so wild. Pre-market, before we even came on air, one of the setups that we were both talking about was, hey, regardless of what you think about the report, Coinbase was going in the morning, and it had this, not rounded bottom, but like wipeout bottom yesterday, higher low, into a 156 level breakout. And then, the problem with it is it wasn't doing anything you sit down, so it wasn't on like my node. I wasn't really planning on it, and and when it made the break, was looking at other things. At that point, I was trading, it was initial trade in iBid off the open, and Pinterest, and you get caught up and you forget the fact that what was the big earnings name that we're all focused on? It was Coinbase last night. Like, what was the thing we expected to have the big move? It was Coinbase, and we got lulled into this weird, boring action in the aftermarket show, and then came in today without I came in without a focus on Coinbase because of it, but we were gapped up pretty well. We were breaking into new price territories. It was doing all of the things that you would want. Do I think it was that great of a quarter? Not really. I think it was way too mixed. But ultimately, ball don't lie. Triple bottom here on the daily, and we're breaking away from it. Just when you zoom out, remember, if we don't ever break 170, then this means nothing. Like this little recovery move, you're just in a consolidation off of this low. That's it. If it doesn't break through the 170 level, then then Coinbase has done nothing with this recovery. And it's completely, I don't want to say it's meaningless because anyone traded it long today, congratulations. But if you can't take out the first local resistance level, then the downtrend isn't truly broken. We'll have a crack at that on Tuesday because Monday, obviously, is a holiday, although it's an outside chance it could go $4 here. The market doesn't seem like it wants to, that's for sure.
Yeah, what absolute strength here on coin. And this morning we covered a bit of an interesting level here. This is a monthly chart, and you can see here, pointed out in the morning, September 2024, and then April of 25. We come here with some aggression, multiple months red into this level, and we caught a bid every single time. Both 2 times, but you can see here maybe a potential level in the past as well, but more recent is what I'm looking at here. And guess what happens today, Neil? Absolute strength after coming in. Yeah, we break that level by a little bit, but again, on a higher time frame, things are not necessarily very clear in terms of precise levels, but we did come into that area, and this area that proved the past couple of times, one might even say the past 3 times here, to be a bit of an area of demand. We're seeing that aggressive demand coming in here once again today with a market that's not necessarily, I mean, the market is on the side, but as of this week, the market necessarily has not been with a strong bid. Today's one of the only days where we get a pretty decent bid there, but the morning was absolute chop, and we had a bit of a dip and rip here. Again, Coinbase earnings day 1. What I really liked about this one was that we got that shake and bake off of the initial report last night. We stepped up, we held above this anchored that I have on right here. So we held above the anchored. Pre-market opens up today. We trickle up a little bit past those those after-hour highs and make higher lows and higher highs. A dip into anchored brings us back with that bid and off to the races, and continuing to hold this strength at high a day here, 167.10. So absolute strength. Definitely not one I would touch for a potential reversion, but even though look, you can see it's broken multiple trends, right? You can see here off of this push, it broke that trend, didn't really get anywhere, didn't really come down into VWAP. If you want to say this. This little bid right here, we broke that, we got up to 167s, and then, since about 11:54, so around noon, we've just been chopping sideways in about a $2 range here on Coinbase. Now, something to remember is that, yeah, sometimes people want to look at Bitcoin when Bitcoin is showing some strength, and that might be reflected in something like a Coinbase, and you can see Bitcoin with a similar kind of price action here where we had that strength in the morning, and now just sideways consolidation. So on days like these, I definitely want to reference Bitcoin, but more often than not, and we talked about this morning, Neil, was that Coinbase kind of does its own thing. Yeah. A lot of times you have people asking, oh, Bitcoin's doing this, why isn't Coinbase doing that? But on days when Bitcoin has a strong move, then maybe more of an inkling to kind of watch Coinbase and look for that level of confluence. If it's there, then it means something. If it's not, then I just usually just leave it alone. But that's Coinbase on the day today.
For those that, before we go back to the desk, for those that are keeping score, RIME is now at $1.74. Oh my goodness. Yeah, if that stock was at 100 and something, that would be insane. Now 50 something, 57% to the upside. Just hit actually $1.75 and continues. And could put in its first red candle. You know, it's almost like somebody was just holding it down all day long. But look at the volume. This is on a real legitimate volume as well. So RIME is looking like it's a runner for 2 days in a row. And we see a lot of people in the chat. These guys are the ones that are disrupting transportation. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we'll see how big of a deal this ends up being. But I mean, you hear the only thing that's weird about this, and I know we're going to continue in the rundown, what I can't wrap my head around is if there's this much pent up belief and anger in this stock, what the heck was going on for most of the day when we were in a pretty strong market? That's what I don't get. It's almost like somebody was purposefully holding this thing down to accumulate.
Accumulation, yeah.
That's kind of what that looks like. That's the only, somebody was holding it down to accumulate. You have to figure, sometimes what can happen is you'll have like a whale who has, like if you're a whale and you have a decent sized position in something, like you have the ability where you can sell at specific times to hold it down, but really you're actually in those dips accumulating more shares. But because you have a big position, you can just sell like little pieces of it. And then when you release, bye-bye, it's gone, and you actually have more shares than you did before. But because your overall position is so large, and I'm not saying that's what's happening here, I'm just saying that's a kind of thing that whale traders have done before.
I mean, that looks absolutely crazy.
And that's what it looks like happened. That's almost like that's what looks like was happening here. Is if you see this pattern on a gapper, Like, it's not giving it up under VWAP. It's not giving it up when it rejects the previous day's high. It's literally making higher lows as all this is going on, but it's not doing anything with it. It's like somebody was holding this down that probably has a really large position they soaked up.
It's also making lower highs, right? That's what I think gives precedent to the wind up, right? It's just like you keep winding it up, and it does look like accumulation. And then, like, was there news? Like, why is it ripping?
No news
it's just ripping off of no rhyme or reason. I have no idea, but just
somebody released the Kraken. They were like, I'm holding it down. Now I'm not anymore. And I've accumulated all day long, and that's
wild, yeah.
And you know what? And if you do stuff like that, like, regular people can't do stuff like that. Regular traders can't do stuff like that. But that's got to be pretty lucrative.
What's the float on that thing?
I'd have to double check. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure what.
It's like we can probably figure out how much you probably need to kind of hold that up.
Let me just. I can try.
Because that wind up is absolutely crazy, and right now it's like Beyblade, let it rip.
This can't be right. 5.7 million.
I mean, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
8 times.
Think about it.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's doable.
You could definitely corner that.
Oh, someone's got, easily. Okay, let's go back up and continue the rundown.
FSLY is at the high too today, guys, so keep your eye on that if you're inclined for that. But DVLT is the next one, Datavol. There's no specific headline on this one today, but earlier in the week we got word that the CEO, Nate Bradley, was hosting a private invitation-only dinner at the Mar-a-Lago for a select group of institutional investors as well as high net worth individuals and senior government officials. Again, no headline today, but it's up about 18%, so you can make your own inferences there.
This is continuation. See, this is what you expect to see for continuation. And not to go back to RIME where it gets held down, this was very different. Like, it pulled back into prior support, prior close, and said, okay, that's it, we're gonna go. And it was so deceiving too, because if you were of the camp, I'm not falling for the 830 initial spikes, the first thing I'm gonna do is short. Like, the first thing I did this morning was literally short HIBIT. It's hilarious, man. Sometimes it be like that, where like it's like you'll make money shorting a thing that was long all day long. No, but like your first thought was, I want to fade moves, and you get that first shot. Well, this was a name, Fastly, that gave you that same setup, but then immediately it's like buy, and then clean break. There's not much standing in the way here on FSLY, and I think we were looking at the weekly chart last week, or yesterday, the weekly chart yesterday. Like, there's not much standing in its way. You can have a look at 20, but if it chews through 20, you're now talking about that 24 level. And don't get me wrong, like, you can always zoom out and find these kind of bag holder price levels. But my goodness, this is a very, very legitimate breakout on the higher time frames. And for those that are like, but look how much it's up in the last couple of days. Yeah, but what are we talking about for it to get to 24? So I think until proven otherwise, I know in the afternoon, a lot of times the trade setup for me, like, I'll look at a rig and say I want to do a mean reversion on that because of what the chart looks like. And I know that actually ended up, if you took that same thing on Fastly yesterday, like, that would have worked out. It doesn't have that kind of a setup. It doesn't really have that setup here, because ultimately, like, you've got this, which is forming a new trend, but it hasn't really developed it yet. But on the higher time frame, it feels like this still has a bit of room. The way that it absorbed that profit taking yesterday and then the dump at the open, I think tells you that it might have some more room to go. Day 3 is always a big day for a runner like this. So I think Tuesday morning is probably going to be very indicative of how far this will really go. But it's got room to 24.
Yeah, definitely. I think this was one on everyone's watch yesterday, and I love this price action yesterday off of the open when it had that opening drive. 100% reported above revenue, and you know what? Gapping up, pushing up higher, pre-market levels, pre-market break, holding consolidation yesterday above VWAP decently, and then breaking out intraday, closing, well, not necessarily near the highs. You talked about this breakdown. I was involved with this along here, and then I took some pieces off of this reversion here back down into $16, but that was very key for me coming into this morning, and $16 never really breaks down, even though we have this bit of a strong push and then wipe back back in, maybe scaring some longs out, potentially wiping all the way back down to some opening prices and then some. But look at this consolidation, tight little wind up there, and then breaking back above VWAP for another round on day 2, where you break the opening range highs and then you sustain higher highs and higher lows, and currently printing fresh highs, Neil. So yeah, day 1, day 2, day 3, this one looks like a serious pivot to me.
Stop, won't stop.
All right, guys, Robinhood next up here, up 7 3/4. There's a few headlines. Nothing is really market moving. Cathie Wood went in and bought about $12.4 million in Robinhood stock. She sold Airbnb to pick up that, so keep an eye out for that. Separately, Truist Securities lowering the price target on Robinhood from 130 down to 120. There was this headline as well. Robinhood yesterday cryptically posting on their X account as follows: "We've got a surprise for you shortly." All right. So this came out today that Robinhood Markets launches a live stream roadshow for their Ventures Fund 1. So this is going to host a live stream roadshow presentation for Robinhood Ventures on February 17th. It's going to be live at 10 a.m. Pacific, so 1 p.m. Eastern. The event will feature CEO Vlad Tenev, CFO Shiv Verma, and RVI President Sarah Pinto, who are going to provide an overview of the new closed-end fund, the strategy that they're going to employ, and what investors can expect, guys. So it's going to be accessible via the Robinhood app as well as on YouTube. Hood, boys, up 7 2/3.
Yeah, Cathie Wood just feels like, you know the person at the poker table that plays literally every hand?
Yeah, that's her.
That's Cathie Wood.
Her bet sizing might be a little different, though.
Well, I mean, obviously, but it's just, is there ever a position or a stock that she holds that there isn't something incredibly active every earnings, every quarter, sympathy play? It's like, oh, Cathie Wood bought more of this, sold more. Like it's incredibly active. Like it's just, I have a level of curiosity to even understand the methodology. Like that would be a fun sit down, because it's absurdly active relative to what you're used to seeing for a money manager. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, Robinhood here double bottomed at 70. Although it's not like a traditional double bottom. You really didn't do much down in front of the 70 level here. Like you spent a few seconds there this morning. That's about it. But you did double bottom here. The hope would be, and I feel the same way about this, and I don't want to be pessimistic or anything, but like I feel the same way about this as I do about Coinbase, who we were mentioning earlier. It's like, okay, great, you've held the lows here, and we have a mini bounce back, but given the way that we've seen sell-offs recently, how good do you feel about this? When you take a look at the daily chart, oh yeah, we're up 8%, but when stocks get cut in half, going up 8% becomes a heck of a lot easier, and we know this to be true. Like, it's not as impressive being up 8% when you've gone from 150 to 70 bucks. It just isn't. It's the same reason why we can have a look at, the move on FSLY and why it seems so impressive, and it is. I'm not saying it's not, but if we don't really do anything above 80 bucks or even break out 90, then unless you're a short-term trader, you convinced you've got the bottom? I like Robinhood. I think reasonable people could say this is a good place to start DCAing in. There's nothing about the quarter that completely scares you. But when I pull up like a monthly chart, like the monthly chart says, okay, 70 is a good logical bounce zone, but 50 also looks pretty good technically as well. So like it's almost like a DCA type of level here for the hooded one. Ooh, Rivian, 1840.
Yeah, it continues to push a little higher. So I just want to take a dabble on a potential continuation there. But Robinhood, definitely the volatility coming in yesterday and today. What a reversion, Neil. So I like when things have an aggressive move in the morning session and then they do absolutely nothing all day long, kind of defining that range for us, making my life a little bit easier. So if you just say that I'm looking at, the high of the range and the low of the range here, that it's set for more than, what is this? Just a quick measure this out really quickly, for over 4.5 hours going into the close. So that was around 70.50s to 71.90. So we can just say 72 to 70 halves. We pull into that range from yesterday off of the open, and then boom, is it doing any sort of relative volume? Absolutely not. Probably taking it off of my watch list. But if you're trading it from purely, okay, it did a strong move yesterday and then kind of ranged, if you're taking the range break or the range hold, it definitely gave you opportunities. It showed you that, okay, we're bouncing off of a prior, support and resistance level from yesterday, which was recent. We reclaim VWAP, we reclaim opening range highs, we reclaim pre-market highs, and then off of there, you catch about a 3 to 4, almost 4% move before that bid kind of steps off. And since then, once again, today, we're consolidating sideways for almost 4 hours now. Now the range being around, I guess, the highs at 77s and the lows at 75s and some change. We can call it 75 halves there. So tight ranges and then stepping up on top of prior day's range. So I know a lot of people were talking about Hood, and not necessarily on my radar. I get it. It's earnings day 2 and 3. Right, you're using day 2 levels, day 3 coming in today as well with a bit of reversion back into these day 1 range areas. So interesting stuff, not really part of my playbook, I'd say here, but technically speaking, you can see how well it held certain structures and broke out of certain levels coming into the day today. Not really doing as much volume coming into the later half of the day. You can see most of that volume was done right off of the open, and once that buying kind of stepped off, you can see the volume also stepped off and trading much lower. But you know what I really like? That we're holding higher on much lower volume. I like that.
Truth. Oh, by the way, Rig finally broke that all-day trend, so I'm in. Stop at the prior high, and we'll see how. I have bids to the first support level. We'll see if it goes, and then if it gets to VWAP, that's going to be the usual target. We have a couple symbols to go over. I got a good feeling that this one might be sub $1, Sharif.
It's $420, Neil. That one's coming up. So TSLA is the one we're looking at here. A couple of headlines, nothing market moving for Tesla. So Xiaomi surpassing Tesla in China in respect of sales. So the Xiaomi YU7, which is their SUV, sold about a little bit less than 38,000 units last month, while Tesla sold about 16,800. So big difference there as Tesla's market share continues to struggle all over the world. Rivian also reporting earnings and good demand likely for their R2. Tesla could be moving in sympathy. Last but not least, this is obviously not Tesla related, but it is Elon Musk adjacent. SpaceX is considering a dual class shares for its IPO, being here reported by Bloomberg, guys. So Tesla barely holding on to 1%.
Okay, so obviously Tesla's not a penny stock, but I know DVLT is going to be one of the names in the rundown. Has to be. If Tesla is a penny stock. DVLT? Did we? No, I didn't talk about DVLT.
I didn't talk about DVLT.
Okay, that's our bad. Okay. We didn't actually go over
I thought it was
DVLT.
Fastly, yeah.
I thought it was Fastly. Okay, so that's my bad.
Yeah.
Entirely my fault. I'll take the L for that. But that being said, if Tesla was ever a penny stock, a lot of us around here would be feeling some pain. It's not going to happen. Definitely not going to happen. I do believe in them. Look, I can't wait for the SpaceX IPO. Unfortunately, we do have to wait. I think we're past the point of thinking that very, very brief window of speculation that maybe, just maybe, instead of doing an IPO, you could have further consolidated and combined with Tesla. That looks like was just some random nonsense. It's not going to happen. So we'll probably go the traditional IPO route there. But they did have the tie-up with XAI, which I think was a smart move because you have SpaceX, which is generating much better revenues, obviously, while XAI is just spend. You get those together, and I think it's a more attractive package for, hopefully, what is an IPO we'll get soon this year. Before we get into some technicals, what do we have here? UBS corporate buyback will go from the lowest seasonality this week to high or even peak seasonality at 30 to 50 billion per week for the next 6 weeks until the end of March. We like it when you sprinkle some buybacks on things. Well, it's true. What is the best way to gloss over high valuations, right? It's the same way that you gloss over bad tasting food. You just sprinkle stuff that tastes good, and then it's just much better. It goes down a little bit better. So sprinkle a little buyback on your 1 bajillion PE, and everything's just goes down the hatch a little bit better. I don't know. It's just objectively true. So Tesla, it's all about 420, everybody. And as long as we're above 420, then I will feel good about Tesla for the rest of this afternoon. The problem is, it does seem like we've turned the corner a little bit. Like, this is a name that feels like it's turned the corner off the highs. Like, you got the lower high being put in. Like, I'd wonder if we lose 420, if there's not like a play into the volume weighted average price. I still don't feel that great yet about Tesla to get back into the highs. I've sort of been saying, look at the trend from the top. We just keep rejecting. Every time we press, we reject the top of this trend line. So until we start breaking away from that, like I won't be thinking explosive move back into the highs yet for Tesla. So that's what I have my eyeballs on for next week. If we break this, then I'm going to go into next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, thinking long every day till we get to 455, and then the same thing if we break through there. We just haven't been able to bust through yet on Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, Tesla, I definitely have eyes on that 420 level, like Neil mentioned earlier, maybe potentially key. Let's go to a weekly chart. And if you guys watch the show every now and then, you guys already know how my Tesla chart looks. And holding trend is what I'm seeing, right? We still haven't necessarily broken this trend here that we've gotten higher lows. This is a weekly. And let's see how that's looking. Boom, whoa, that's a lot of lines. But you know what? I like this one right here, the anchored from that prior high, coming all the way down here at 356s. So I know that's a little bit messy, but a lot of chop, a lot of areas to potentially catch a bid here. Even if we do break this trend, guess what? Bigger time frame, we'll go to the monthly. This is pretty much sideways, right? We're still in the range that we were in 2021. Maybe we're attempting to hold a little bit higher. We did kind of breach that here in January of 25, December of 24. But pulled right back in, made a higher low, and we're attempting to do the same coming into December, January of this year. We attempt to break this high, and we're pulling back in. But let's see if some of these bids sustain us above 400. Now, I've said this before. This thing has been a classic stair-step squeeze with very extended and long legs, and it's just volatile sometimes, right? You can see each way when you go to the upside, these legs are pretty extensive. When we come to the downside, very choppy, but still extensive, and then still the same. So it's like we're stuck in this kind of a range here. If I were to say what that much higher time frame range is, just go to a 3-month chart. You can see here much more clearly 415s. Now again, don't forget this is split adjusted to 100. Right? And we're attempting to break that 415, 420 level right now. We got all the way up to 500. I wouldn't say failure to follow through, but didn't really get to 500 at all. So 498s, I think 498s and some change were the highs there. Yeah, 498.83s I'm seeing here, and that was in and around December, mid-December, mid to late December there. Let's see, it's only the beginning of the year. We closed the year pretty strong. Right? If you go to a 12-month chart here, you can see we closed pretty strong last year, right? So this is more of a trend. Now each bar here is representing 12 months. We still have 10 months and 19 days to finish printing this candle. I say, you know, just looking back at it, a lot of these candles have wicks on both sides. Look at the candle on this year, Neil. It's a flat top. Does that change probabilities for you? I don't know. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'll let you decide that. But I like how sometimes candles form.
You're taking it to a whole nother
level.
The 12-month chart.
Of course. And we have range to the downside as well. Don't get me wrong. I mean, 250s, 280s, you have all of this range. So I have no idea what the stock is going to do. But these are things that sometimes, you know, they keep me up at night being like, okay, you know, is Tesla really going to close a flat top on this year? Maybe, maybe not.
You know what keeps me up at night? What's the next symbol? Because I'm curious. Because at this point now, I'm like, did we do DVLT? We did not do DVLT. Will it even be a small cap? We did FSLY, but on my board, it's like number 7 on the, like, because I try to cheat, right? Because it's like, imagine you have the notes to the test, where I can flat out look at this live visualizer. And then therefore I'm supposed to be able to look like I'm a genius. I know we're gonna talk about Coinbase, then we're gonna talk about DVLT next, then we're gonna talk about Robinhood, then we're gonna talk about Tesla. We didn't do RIME. How did FSLY even get into a conversation there if it's number 7? So at this point, I have no idea what Sharif is gonna say next, which is always fun. You like to have surprise in your life.
The cutoff time is 2, Neil. I know they've kind of developed, the different votes have increased on some, but MLEC here is the last one, up 68 2/3. MLEC Sciences, guys, announcing the results of a crushing process of their Glassos safflower platform. So they announced the results of that platform, confirming gamma-linolenic acid concentrations of approximately 45%. The result follows the completion of their other safflower campaign and represents a major operational milestone, validating the company's ability to deliver commercial-grade agricultural and industrial performance through its plant-generated molecular farming platform. That all is worth 70%, well off the highs, though.
Is it really MLEC?
MLEC, yeah. MLEC.
I can't even. What are we doing here, MLEC Sciences?
Yeah.
But like, anyways, it doesn't.
Come on, molecular.
I get it, but
molecular chemistry. You ever took that course?
Anyways, it's a very weird name for a company. I can't be the only one that thinks that. And maybe it's a Friday thing, but I can't take it. It's hard to take it that seriously. But you know what? This is also the classic. If Luis was here, I think, I feel like this is the kind of stock that flat out could have rinsed a trader in both directions. And I know there's small cappers that back in the day when I used to be a penny stock trader. Here, can I at least talk? I know we didn't go over DVLT, but I'm gonna throw it up here, and there's an actual purpose for this. Don't get me wrong. Back when I used to trade penny stocks when I started out, a stock like DVLT, this is one that pretty straightforward if you were trading it. You get an early push. Hold VWAP early, it loses it, so you break away. You might lose trying to take this trade, but then it does this nice little trend up, holds VWAP, and does a classic breakout setup. I don't think you would have gotten rinsed if you were a DVLT trader. This MLEC stock, I'm not sure how you trade this without getting your butt kicked. This was just bamboozling you left, right, and center. It looks good here. It loses some support and immediately halts down. After halting down, it then 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, halts up, and then instead of holding VWAP, it's an instant rinse into the low. And then after halting down, it goes in the other direction. Your best plan of action, believe it or not, trading this stock, was to buy it after the down halt, effectively, sell it after the up halt. And that actually would have worked out for you pretty well, except for this final time when we lost the volume weighted average price. Now it just seems like it's dead, but I'll say that it looks pretty dead to me, and then the next thing you know is it'll down halt and then start flying. This is exactly the kind of stock that just seems like it chops you up. Give me a DVLT or a RIME. If you're a small cap trader, those seem so much more reasonable to trade. Here it's almost like just punch and pray on MLEC. And yeah, and also the daily chart, what utter nonsense is the daily chart, which is even telling you where you should just be let it try to break $9. That's what the daily chart is telling you, and then just fade it after that.
Try to break it, see what happens. It's done it a couple times. But I asked you this, Neil. Remember when this stock was $6,337? This is on the monthly chart.
I remember the good old days.
Remember the good old days.
When MLEC was $6,330.
MLEC, definitely there was some sort of float chemistry happening there. But again, Neil hit the nail on the head right there. It kind of tells you where supply came in. Prior Thursday, January 15th. Was when we had a strong move here on MLEC, post-split runner right here a few days after. When was it split? January 5th, post-split, kind of just maybe runs up in the pre-market here or after hours, comes right back in, pushes up to 13s, 1295s, pulls back in and has a bit of a chop chop and just a fade. I call this kind of chart a crumble because it's just not really doing any volume, and the chart literally looks like crumble. The candles look like crumbles on the chart, and then all of a sudden you catch some volume here, whether it's from a catalyst, whether it's from some new development. I have no idea, nor do I think it really truly does matter. But a beautiful vehicle to catch some intraday trades here. So if we'd go down to say a 3-minute, we can see here just cannot get through that $13 level, cannot get through that $12 level, and it only gave you that chance, Neil, maybe a couple times in the pre-market, but just off of the open, and then once again here coming into noon and trickling back down into day lows. And we looked at what the float on RIME was earlier. I don't know necessarily what the float on MLEC is, but I have here 517,000 shares. Heard that right, 517,000. Not even a million, that's 500,000 shares on the float.
That is absurd.
And it's done about 2.23. Talk about some churning and some rotation happening there of that float. So
we got 2 super chats here.
Interesting stuff. Yeah, so Trader TV fan here, 0.2% done to check Pinterest for man bun ideas.
You don't want my opinion then, easy peasy.
Okay. And then the easy peasy saying that was my other act for Pinterest
account.
show. Oh, account.
So because
okay, I see what you mean.
You haven't filled in a while. So
okay,
easy peasy has been
Trader TV fan.
And Trader TV fan is easy peasy.
Yes.
So easy peasy has been donating via super chat 0.2% of his returns every single day.
Okay.
So every time we get a super chat, we know you've had a good day.
Nice. Congratulations.
And I'm going to reread the other one because that was the funny one. Here, because you can't call me up for a man bun. Check Pinterest for man bun ideas. So you don't want my ideas for Pinterest. You want Obi's.
I mean, we can take a look at. Thank you for the super chat.
Show off first of all, Obi's got that ill flow.
What?
You got the ill flow.
Well, yeah, it's flowing.
Just saying.
Flowing for now.
My hair ain't growing. Y'all can see that for real.
So Pinterest, I mean, I liked it this morning. Now again, these are just my opinions here. I liked it this morning because of the flush down, and it was looking interesting, just showing that weakness. But you can see here, once it reclaims that VWAP and just starts trickling up, that's in line with the rest of the market. So here you can see that maybe yes. I mean, I had the idea to take this short off of the opening drive, but I was definitely very, very wrong on that. And you can see it just swipes right back up, reclaims VWAP, comes back into that $14 level. Why was I looking at $14? Let's take a look at the higher time frame chart to see where that $14 potentially came in. Where'd it go? So this is a weekly. Let me get rid of this VWAP here. So I think this was why. Yeah, we were coming into this $16 level, and then potentially coming into this range here where the ultimate low is sitting at $10.10, and then 14 was that level from the pre-market, right? That's what it was. Yeah, in and around here. So 14.5. So I was like, all right, we'll take the whole dollar back in. Definitely did not work. As well as I was looking for. 1384s was the low, but you can see here just trending up, consolidating near the highs and showing some strength in line with the rest of the market. The market was very choppy off of the open, and then now trending or trended to the upside there. Now consolidating just shy of that 25,000 here on the Nasdaq, and if you want to look at the ES, just shy of that 6,900. Nice on the ES. So. I liked it this morning for one thing, but when it doesn't work out, I left it alone, right? That was not the idea.
It was a good mean reversion on pins.
Yeah, if you looked, I did see this. I did see this here, yeah.
VWAP. And then now it's
15 rejection.
It was literally doing nothing. It was right at the $15 level. That was it. It's just been a weird day, man. It's one of those days I look and it's like the 2 best trades came on shorts that were longs, and that's just kind of how it is. But there was one thing I wanted to just quickly, because I know on a Friday where the market's not doing much, I just want to make a note that RIME is once again breaking highs, now through $2. It did get to 100% to the upside, because the high is now 220, so it got to it was at 108 was prior close, so it complete double up here. you actually have a chance. If it closes over 2 is that big time post-split support to resistance. It's a monster level if it can hold that 2. You got to factor in like the short sellers that typically will short any kind of a reverse split. A lot of times they're shorting here, they're shorting that, they're shorting this, they're shorting that. So there's some $2 shorts in there, but it's almost like 250 gets them in a heck of a lot more trouble. Easy peasy is pins a buy here, LOL. You were watching the after show last night, weren't you? I mean, I wouldn't. Anybody can do whatever they want. I wouldn't buy Pinterest. That's just me. I can't think of what the good reason would be to believe in the quarter, to believe in the company, to believe in the future. I'm not seeing it, but what the heck do I know, man? I'm just I day trade. So if somebody could make a compelling argument to me, the value of Pinterest for anything other than here, like I think if we're talking about, go back to that monthly chart, like if we're just sort of talking about take a shot because we're literally bouncing off the pandemic higher low. So there's the higher low off 2020 pandemic, and you just want to take a shot on that and swing it and hold it to the all-time low. Because you figure structurally, if you get back to 24, 28, like that'd be a reasonable bounce. If you just like that trade setup, that is what it is. I just can't see a reason to be in this company outside of maybe it eventually just falls far enough that someone wants to pick up the pieces. Like that is not unreasonable to me at least. But yeah, not for me, Pinterest. And I know sometimes we're harsh, but we just kind of call it like we see it. I just noticed Sharif.
Yeah. I mean, I asked the chat. I was like, chat, what is Sharif doing in the background? Wrong answers only. Behind the scenes. He's doing behind the scenes.
What is this for? But where are we posting this? It's going on like Instagram or something?
Instagram, TikTok.
What's the Instagram, people?
Fans only.
I'm so old with this gray hair, I have no idea what an Instagram is. You people have to school me. I'm just doing it for his camera right there. I know exactly what the Instagram is, everybody. The Instagram.
The Instagram.
That's where Sharif posts all of his workout videos.
Yeah.
And first of all, I'm gonna out him here too because there was one time he was scrolling and I'm like, I know what you're, and he was right next to me on the desk.
Yeah.
He's like, and I'm like, I know what you're looking at. And he's like, that's not what I'm doing. And I crap you not. I walked over, I'm like, give me your phone. He's like, yeah, I'll give you my phone. And the very first thing that I saw in his feed was exactly what you all are thinking right now. And that's all I'm going to say. And Sharif knows it's true. And he knows it's true.
It was an advertisement. I swear up and down it was an advertisement. I had no control, man.
He says.
So you're saying that the ads are not catered to you based off of your profile?
He says it was an advertisement. All I'm simply saying is, yes, it was a workout video. No, you would not be looking at that workout video for somebody's correct form. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, I'm just saying because that's how it is. So the market is coming. Let's just change the subject for a second. It wasn't Sydney Sweeney, just for anyone out there.
Nice.
I don't know. It was random. It was a squat video. So, I mean, obviously Sharif works out. So not completely illegitimate. To say the market's coming down, like we're very slowly sliding down a little bit here. I lost my train of thought because there was another stock I was going to get to that wasn't RIG, which since breaking the trend, you know what's strong? It broke the trend line, put in the lower high. So usually when I see it do this, hold the lower high, I'm thinking, okay, this starts to break down here. You could almost even add to it. And then it just held the line at the entry point where you'd get the trend break, like held on pretty clean. So this, I'm not adding to this one for sure, but I'm still waiting for this to actually show signs that it wants to break into the downside. And I'm going to keep eyes on this RIME stock, now at 220. This thing is an absolute rocket ship.
Yeah, I mean, I think Friday before the long weekend, something that has a really low float.
I've never seen that.
That's been churned around.
Setup is insane.
Yeah, might not be over. You know, we could see this. We could see more of a squeeze. We're almost coming into power hour. You know, we have about an hour and 8 minutes left, or hour and 7 minutes left in the trading day, and RIME continues to climb higher and higher.
Fastly is gone again.
Fastly is going. Fastly is absolutely strong. And again, a lot of us are talking about some of these setups here. When you have a strong earnings report, you gap up, you continue, and it's a nice little push there. Fastly definitely I think qualifies for one of those setups here. But where is the next trade? That's what I'm asking you guys. I got a few things on watch. But guess what, Neil? Things are at the high a day, or kind of consolidating in and around VWAP. One of those names is Dutch Bros. So Dutch Bros right here, holding VWAP pretty well, and bruh is right. That's probably what the longs are saying as well, because on the reversion, it gave you a beautiful reversion right here all the way back into VWAP, which was 42.90 something, and I'm getting some phone calls. Anyways, 52 halves was that VWAP, now pulling right back in. So maybe is this the next trade? That's what I'm asking myself here as of right now, as we attempted to push back through VWAP, holding some of those opening. I would call this maybe the opening session low, not necessarily opening range low, but this was the first place where we did attempt to catch a bit of a bounce. And we only got to 54, maybe just shy of 55s, and then slam right back in again. Guess what? Over the past hour or so, hour and a half, we attempted to push these areas once again, 53s. So can't really get past that, pulling right back in. So the question I'm asking is, are sellers that were dominant in the morning, are they going to continue to be dominant going into the last half hour or last hour of the day here? So I'm waiting, I'm watching. I don't really have anything else that's too crazy. Baba, I'm watching really closely here as well. Rivian's probably going to stop me out there. It goes stopping me out, pulling back in. So maybe a reversion on Rivian there. Alibaba, similar story to that of what was that one called? Of Dutch Bros, but only because it's trading now back below VWAP. This was distinctly different in the morning, where it did rip up off of VWAP, off of this. We had to report it in the morning, and I was just like, yeah, this is a breaking news trade. If you had it in the pre-market, you had it. We reverted back into those reference prices, couldn't really get too far past that reference, and I think that's probably one trade as well, Neil. And we talked about this being a breaking news trade in the pre-market, where if you got short maybe into 154s, that was nice for a leg down into 150s. The back through 150 was a great place to maybe potentially start looking for a reversion and coming in off of the open. We did get a breakout of this kind of consolidation or local high here, whether you want to call that 155s, 153s off of the opening range on a 3-minute, maybe coming in and around the same area. But we, on every pullback, we held that level until we got to the reference price of where that selling initially started. So one could argue that it's up here as well. Fine, if you want to nitpick, that's fine. Some strong selling up here as well, and a bit of a crumble. Maybe someone new here, and the news took a little bit of a while, maybe an hour to disseminate all throughout the world, and then you get that nice little crack coming in with some follow through. Regardless of which point you used, it failed to follow through those references of where those sellers stepped in. And then guess what? Sellers stepped right back in. So this was a bit of a miss on my part. What was I doing from around 11 to 12 o'clock, Neil? I was at Cabanos eating a burger. So
you went to
I wanted to ask you. Yeah, I went to Cabanos with Wayne. Because, I mean...
I didn't say you were getting burgers.
I mean, we went for a walk, and then I had to go pick up some things. So we did a little bit of shopping, and on the way back, I was just like, all right, well, Cabanos is on the way back. Why not? So,
the chili was pretty good.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, how was the chili?
I mean, it wasn't a Cabanos burger. But
yeah, it wasn't a Cabanos burger.
It was fine.
Any news on iron? One of my pod members messaged me about this one, about what's happening with iron, and I was just like, it might just be a little anemic here as it kind of sells off pretty aggressively. No news was necessarily found on this one. Maybe Derek can help us out with this one. What's going on here with iron? Halt down, open up much lower. Imagine chasing into this sell-off, and then you open literally, what is this, 20% lower, Neil, and we're catching a bit of a bid here on iron. So when was this selling coming in? 224s, halted down at 230, opens back up at around, let's go down to a 1 minute here. When did it specifically open up? 1452, so 252 is when it opened up. here on iron, but hopefully we can get some news there. But
there was news this morning.
Yeah, nothing in and around this time at 2:24.
Iron, IRON.
IRON.
Adara. Like I just see.
India, Romeo, Oscar, November.
Yeah, there's some stuff from the morning about the FDA, but that's a very delayed reaction. That's pretty nasty. But it's already got the bigger bounce.
Think that's
There's more volume on the bounce than there is on the actual drop. Yikes. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that.
AC saying iron investigates claims in behalf of disc medicine. I don't know.
No, I see a similar headline from like 1:30, but there was a headline from 1:30. U.S. Food and Drug Administration reviewers on Thursday postponed their decision on an experimental treatment from Disc Medicine, Inc., which is iron, by about 2 weeks to February 10th. So that story actually hit somewhere in here, and the stock did pretty much nothing. And then all of a sudden, I guess it just lost the bid. Maybe there was like a reaction to it a little bit late. So it could be something like that. Webcoin saying that its cash value is about $15, just in case it should fall a little bit further. That's sometimes those are important metrics to look at. And again, if we get some kind of an update on the story, we'll let you guys know. We just entered Power Hour, everybody.
Ooh.
Means we have 1 hour to go.
You feel
I did see Bien Mayo actually put in the chat to remind me, see if we can't get someone to actually ring the bell at the close today. So
where's the bell at?
Yeah, we put it's right over there.
Oh.
We had the bell back up. And then we put the bell up, and then we rang it once at the close.
Yeah, that was a good tradition.
And every other day, we have not done it. So I've messaged Fabian if we can actually pull that one off, because somebody asked nicely. I don't know who's going to ring the bell. Fabian could ring the bell. Adara could ring the bell. Adara could ring the bell.
Okay.
I get to ring the bell a couple of times. I did a flying punch one time. Adara could just throw something at the bell too. You could hit that, Adara.
You know what was a significant bell ringing? Was it this week?
Bell ringing?
When Sydney Sweeney
rang the bell.
When American Eagle was it American Eagle? I think so.
It was with American Eagle, yeah, and the CEO.
Yeah, American Eagle.
Was it?
Yeah, because she did
her own line of something.
She did the jeans for them, right?
Jay Stottenstein, CEO of American Eagle.
Okay.
Yeah, so she rang the bell, and the bids came in real hot. Let's just say that, all day long, straight up.
I know Sharif watched that.
So. See, I found out much later. I thought if I had that piece of nuance, that piece of information, I would have just taken an opening range break on the SPY and the Nasdaq and maybe hit some futures as well.
You didn't watch that morning. We mentioned that she was ringing the bell at the NYSE that morning. I know we did in the pre-market show. 100% we mentioned it in the pre-market show. And first of all, Mike Peter Ryder, it was not cold-blooded for me to say that Sharif certainly watched it. Anybody can be a fan. He's a fan of Sydney Sweeney. Respect. Him and Joe had the bet about American Eagle making a new all-time high at some point. I forget when it had to do it, and they actually had a bet about it. And to my understanding, Sharif obviously won that bet because it got there. Just one quick note. I just want to show you guys, if you're trading DVLT, just to come back to this name, there's this order. See, I didn't say dude this time. There's this order here right at 83.5 cents, 380,000 shares, just kind of chilling on the bid. What I'm curious about is, because it's just kind of busting through VWAP, do they walk that order up? And when I say walk that order up, does this buyer, if the price increases, step their order higher, chasing the move? If they do, then there might be a nice little long using this as exit liquidity. But I haven't seen it step up. It literally isn't even moving. And it's a real order because they're getting filled here. Fill them. So what you'd like to see ideally happen here is they try to hit this bid, and they're taking it out, 10% maybe is gone at best. And instead of it getting through, the next thing is it holds, reloads for even bigger, and then swipes the offer. That's not happening. They're actually, so you can see like those T-prints. T-prints are NSB. So I know that Ds are dark pools, Ts are NASDAQ. Every one of those has a code. If an ARCA comes off, that'll be a P. So I know that if this is legitimately getting filled here, if it re-ups and then we start swiping the offer, that'd be a good punch long. But they might actually get through this order, which means it would be a nothing burger if they get through. But that's what I'm watching on DVLT because not much happening in my friend Rig, and I'm still watching that RIME stock. Oh, by the way, I said I would check out locates on RIME. Insanely cheap. I was expecting there to actually be a fee, but it was like 0.0009 cents per share for locates on RIME. So it's for a small float stock, it's actually very cheap. But if you look at when volume came in, there's your first dip, there's your second dip, third. It just attempted to break trend line and held like a champion at that $2 level. I feel like if it takes it again, I'd probably just take a shot, but it's not the kind of stock that you want to sit there. It better work right away. Like unlike Rig, like Rig is not absurd. Like I can be in this break trade with my stop at the high, and it's like it works or it doesn't, but not with RIME. Like RIME is either going to do it or not do it right away. So I'm just going to redraw that. This one I'll save. So if I find this one breaking down, that's a different story. Because if it doesn't immediately start flushing, like there's nobody that's trailing out underneath that $2 level, you don't want to stick it. You don't want to stick around for it to potentially halt up on you. So I'd rather just take a quick shot at it if it breaks down, and then that would be it. So RIME's on the mind. That DVLT doesn't look like it's going to do anything with that order.
No, nothing too crazy here. Rivian kind of taking a bit of a curl back in, so I am taking a bit of a dabble on this, pulling back in maybe into some of these prior levels, but a lot of chop and churn here, breaking this. Short-term consolidation. We consolidated here about for 30-35 minutes. We'll see if there's a bit of a continuation here. But coming into some prior structure, we could very well just kind of continue to hold some priors and then continue to the upside. I have no idea, but taking a bit of a dabble on this one. Coming into the last hour of the day, this bid, has been coming in, I would say, for about the past three and a half hours. What's up?
Well, I can tell you, we have an idea that in the world of gold and silver, volatility isn't necessarily a hurdle. Why? Because it's an opportunity, and harnessing it requires the right tools. Beta Pro by Globex delivers that edge. As Canada's first and longest running suite of leveraged inverse and inverse leverage ETFs, Beta Pro provides a decisive way to engage with metal markets. Through 2x daily bull and 2x daily bear exposure, these funds are built for the precision and momentum the modern markets demand. Designed for sophisticated day traders in Canada who understand the risks of leverage and the power of a tactical response, Beta Pro provides the agility to navigate market moves in either direction. Just follow the gold and silver markets and position yourself for what's next. Discover the suite at betapro.ca. As always, make sure you read the prospectus at their website. Give a shout out to them. Scan the QR code in front of you, and we want to thank them for sponsoring the final hour, the power hour of the show for sure. And no, I'm answering this directly in the chat, Rainmaker. No, we cannot stop pretending that curling is a sport, because we are Canadian. And I'll tell you this right now, I have curled. I recently curled for the first time in my life just last month, and it ain't easy. Straight up. I played a lot of sports in my life. It is not easy. The rock is pretty heavy, and if you're like myself, I would just say that I am challenged on an ice surface and in winter sports is the best way to describe it. It's a very challenging and actually a fun sport as well. Let's go to Adara. We have some news.
I want to mention here, Fed's Goolsbee is currently speaking right now, and he's talking a lot about inflation. I mean, understandably, he's a Fed. It's what they do. But I'll just read you guys some of these comments because some of them are of note here. He's saying that he hopes that we've seen the peak impact of tariffs, talking about the CPI data, saying that it had, quote, some encouraging bits and some concerns. And this is not the only comment I've seen, by the way, today. I've seen some commentary in passing here on social media that not all of the CPI data is necessarily quote unquote good, even though, again, we did have cooling year over year. He's also saying that we're still seeing pretty high services inflation, and that's probably what his concern was here with the CPI print. So again, Fed's Goolsbee is talking. Be aware, be careful, and I'll keep you all posted. Back to you.
Thank you very much there, Adara. I want to shout out to, so we told you guys this morning that we're on TikTok. Hey, that's right up in the top left as we're speaking. It's almost like somebody knew we were going to say this. We're back on TikTok, so you can check us out there. But we had Kitten Strength asking us about when is SanDisk going to tank. Okay, look, a lot of people have been thinking that this is going to unwind at some point, and it's got to be the top. I remember when we were pulling back here, I know for sure I was like, look at this, and you had this lower highs into a flat bottom, and I remember looking at this pattern, and I understand this pattern goes both ways. It's either flat bottom break, or it's breakout. Obviously, the breakout happened. It more than doubled since then. In fact, it almost tripled on that pattern, and now you're looking at a lower high. When you have this deep of a pullback, the inclination sometimes is to think that, okay, lower high here, and it's game over, man. Not always that simple. I've seen this reflect in where you can end up with some kind of like channel down that just holds for a while without any significant breakdown, or we could just immediately break this out, squeeze more people. The fact is, you're looking at, they had a blowout quarter where expectations were super high in all of the memory chip names, and they absolutely delivered. So you've got the backs of that. Then you have short sellers, which are probably scared because they all think it's the top, and they just keep getting stopped out. So I think either one of these things is possible. Just respect. Like, I look at this channel and say, I'll just respect the channel. If it breaks away, then you got to look long. I think when it gets down into the bottom of the channel, it's probably worth even treating it as a little bit of support till it breaks, because that's what we're dealing with here. Like, you've got to respect the pattern in front of you and what the stock is doing, regardless of if you think it was overvalued. Like, how many people are dancing on Palantir? They're like, ha ha ha, I told you Palantir's overvalued, this thing is gonna die, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's all well and good that you happen to be right after it failed at 200. But people were saying that at 120. People were saying that at 150. People were saying that at 180. And all of those shorts got blown out. Even after it pulled back here, this felt like, and I remember this felt like, okay, that's it, Palantir is done. And what happened? It came back to the highs, made another top, another deep pullback, still managed to get back into the 190s. It's never that simple that the first crack in the armor is going to end up destroying the whole ship. And I think that's probably where you're at with SNDK. I'd rather just respect the pattern and keep it simple for now. And yeah, I hope that helped. Hopefully that answered your question. I think we're going back to Adair.
I want to talk here about the market as we get more comments from Fed's Goolsbee. He said that he thinks interest rates can, quote, still go down a fair bit more, and that we, quote, just need to see progress on inflation. That being said, he said that he's still wary because service inflation is not tamed. So in one sentence, Fed's Goolsbee being a little hawkish and a little dovish. He does tend to talk this way. I find of all of the Feds, his language is probably the most flowery, for lack of a better term. Like, he likes to have fun with the words he uses. So just be aware of that here with our friend Fed's Goolsbee. Again, worried that, quote, services inflation is not tamed. I also want to mention here, IRIN, I was looking to that IRON stock. I couldn't find anything new. I just want to keep you guys posted that I have not seen anything else on that. Back to you.
Oh, that's fair. I tried to look for something as well, but
yeah, there was that. Like I said, there was one story that was like an hour before anything even happened on that stock. And just because something moves doesn't mean there has to be some kind of a catalyst. There are situations where, like what happened in IRIN, could be as simple as somebody was sitting on a lot of shares and hoping that nothing was going to happen, and when it maybe lost like $70, they just like liquidations or something. This could be a lot of technical reacting to a news story that was already happening. They're probably trying to slowly unload, and when the floodgates opened up, everything just went haywire and they were screwed. Someone just asked me, why rig short? Look, man, it ain't working. But I can't say that I would always take an all-day trend break like this, but any stock that's this strong, that from the open puts in one low and then breaks the high and the first available dip. So now you've got a trend line. Then it comes in the afternoon, bounces off the trend line to make another straight up high. I don't know that I'd ever not try that kind of a reversion trade. It's too far, it's too good R&R, and certainly it's obviously just sitting here doing nothing but gliding higher. But that's a trade that, when it works, and you're supposed to take all of the trades as a trader that's like a positive expectancy. Like this morning, like I'd already lost on pins, and then it just formed a pretty clear trend line into the 15 level that I liked, and it pulls right back into VWAP. And then you hit it and you quit, and I don't touch it ever since. But if that's what you look for, then that's what you trade. And you sit in the trade because it gave you a setup, and whatever happens, happens after that. It's kind of like, I always liken it to poker. Like, you're never gonna see me on the button. You get deep in a tournament, let's just say, and it's like three-handed, and I'm sitting there with like, I don't know, call it like Queen 8 suited or some nonsense. Of course I'm raising you. It's not a great hand, but I'm gonna raise you, and I'm gonna have to think about it if you come back at me out of the big blind, because I know the position, I know the situation, and you're supposed to just play the situation, and then the rest sort of figures itself out. So that's the way I look at it. Commodity King, watch Tesla for a strong close. Market's really pulling back. I don't think there's any strong close happening. Seriously, RIME? Oh my goodness, this stock. It tried again to lose the trend line and right back into the tops. It can't close anything. It won't really hold underneath $2 for the short, but all you're doing is blasting and wick topping above 220. This stock is completely insane. Completely insane. And David Geisler, see, my long-winded way of saying it because I talk too much. He just says play the hand and the person in poker, play the chart and the symbol in trading. To me, that's what trading is. Like if you're investing, then I might care about the fundamentals. But even when I'm doing that, I'm still going to look at the chart. That's what you work off of. Like I'm looking at the price action. I shouldn't say only the chart, because it's really about the price action. The chart is just one of the ways you visualize the price action. The tape also gives you the price action. Level 2 also gives you the price action. The volume. There's all kinds of ways that you could look at price action. It's not really just the chart. But yeah, this RIME stock is insane.
Yeah, some of the stuff going on right now, absolutely crazy there. But yeah, that's been the small cap arena for the past, I would say, couple of months at the very least here. But yeah, the market definitely catching a little bit of a pullback here as of right now. We'll see. We could not get past that 25,000 on the Nasdaq, and then could not get past anywhere near that 6,900 on the ES. What's up, Adara?
Goolsbee and his hawkish dovishness at the same time does continue, guys. And there are some comments that one in particular I find really interesting. So I want to let you guys know. He just said, quote, "I don't know how restrictive Fed policy is. I still think it would have been wiser in December to wait." Now, this is significant because we know he actually voted, or rather dissented here, in favor of holding. So this is, or in favor, I guess, yeah, of holding rates steady in December. So interesting look there from Goolsbee saying that he thinks the Fed should have waited to cut rates. He also said, quote, "If we're at 2% inflation, we can have several more cuts." So much like the opinion of Schmid, who was alongside Goolsbee in holding rates or trying to hold rates at that meeting, he does think that we need to get 2% inflation before there's any kind of more action when it comes to rate moves. Back to you.
So we just got a question in the chat. Thank you, Adara, from the judgment. Is there a rig imbalance again? There was one yesterday. I do not see one. It's only 316, so you usually see this populate with more symbols and larger numbers closer to 330, but there's a few. I don't see rig. The BMY, you got GDX in here, XOM. Those are all over 1 million, but no real, no names that we're paying too much attention to, and rig is not there as well. So that's one of those. On a Friday, going into a long weekend, you might see some more liquidity thrown into the auction. There's no expected movers that I'm aware of, however. Like when I looked at the note this morning, like there's not a lot of no index actions or anything that we're anticipating could be some big ones. So if we do see something on the locator, we'll let you guys know. But certainly rig is not one.
Yeah,
eyes on this RIME stock. It's like it wants to break down.
Maybe that one will have something on the imbalances, but we'll see. Coming into a long weekend, when is I guess we got rebalancing in a couple of weeks. Still, we still have a couple of weeks for that. But coming into the long weekend, I don't know. I'm not expecting too much here. I didn't even check our. I guess research this morning. I think I was checking a little too early, but yeah, it was bleak when I checked earlier this week as well. So nothing too crazy. So we'll just wait and see what this here market does at the same time. So yeah, not really looking at anything too seriously, but the market is taking a bit of a pullback, like I mentioned a little earlier. So that's kind of the only thing. We're reverting about, I guess, half of the move that we had off of the push here. So opening a range, maybe if you want to look at some of these consolidation lows, 24.7s, maybe even 24.6s, but that was a wick low right there, pulling right back into 24.8s here on the Nasdaq. So yeah. Nothing too crazy, but if you guys are watching anything going into the close, we don't have too much time left, only about 42 minutes left until the closing bell, let me know. I'm more than willing to look for a potential, the potential next trade here as we move towards some of these day lows, maybe some reversions back into VWAP, but some of that stuff is already happening, right? We look at something like a Tesla here. Tesla, I was watching a little bit earlier, and we looked at that. Look at that little pullback right here that we got. So we break this trend from strong selling. 420s come right back in, and then pulling in even lower now as VWAP comes into play here. 417s on 418s here on Tesla. Vincent, thank you very much for the super chat. Thanks all the team of Trader TV Live. Been trading with you the past 2 years, almost every day. Let's go Canada. Thank you very much for joining us and for a very long time. Thank you for sticking around as well, man. That's solid stuff.
Yeah, appreciate you, Vincent. I'm going to make the assumption that you're from Quebec, but I don't know that for sure. But yeah, kind of a big match today, let's just say. You know, hockey's obviously the Olympics.
Yes.
Kind of a big deal here in Canada. And seeing as we don't have any golds yet, at the Olympics, and it's the Winter Olympics, so we're supposed to be good. We need to get on that apparently. Hopefully the boys can bring it home, but it will be very, very difficult. It's so much more competition now. In the women's side, like the U.S. team is ridiculous. Nvidia is bouncing off high of day of the low of the day here, pretty much at the same time as the Nasdaq. I'm just going to pull the black chart over as the Nasdaq is bouncing off VWAP. So support on the Qs, support on Nvidia. It's not crazy movement, like we're pretty muted on the inside of the range. Nothing crazy happened. Is this thing finally starting to move? Come on, Rig. Like, you know the stock, you know Transocean has been strong. When even in this pullback, like it will not break, like it won't break the lower high, but it's also not really falling apart in here. I'm already just double bidding shallow because it's 320 and we're starting to get on in time here. And yes, 1320 MOLF. Oh, I love this. Maple syrup. You know, you know. Real maple syrup is the greatest thing. One of the greatest gifts that we have. I actually can't say the greatest. I'm just letting everybody know. My in-laws literally straight up a boatload of maple syrup. It's a lot of work. They jar it up. Did you
go this year?
What's that?
You went this year?
Yeah. So the last couple of years have not been. It's the weather. Like whatever it is with the weather, the last couple of years have not been as crazy. We'll see how this spring ends up, but you know, every spring we go up there and it gets the collections. Like they don't have one of those automated where they have all the different. They connect the trees.
Right, and it's just like a whole line.
No, they don't do that. Like you're literally like I'm going up there and I'm carrying a bucket.
Yeah, you're tapping individual trees.
Yeah, I'm going to each tree. You're trugging in the snow or whatever, and you're buckets, and you go back, and then you're boiling it. So my father-in-law will be boiling it the whole time. Like it's straight up work, but then I get like a year's supply of maple syrup for free, which is easily worth it.
I mean, I have a big thing where it's just like, if I'm having pancakes, it better be some good maple syrup, right? You know, you want that. We don't want that single A, double A. We want that triple A, 100% Canadian maple syrup.
Oh,
what's happening?
What happened to DVLT?
DVLT? Oh boy, what's happening over there?
You can't do this. I don't want anybody's stock to go down. No, but seriously, what happened to this? It was actually cruising along. The last time we were looking at this, it was that buyer, and I was almost ready to say, if that buyer steps up, I'd go long. They must have just crushed him, and then, I shouldn't say him, it's just an order, I don't know. So it crushed through that order and just got absolutely flushed. Yikes. I was gonna put up the gates of hell for this. I mean, it's actually up on the day, so.
Sure, it's on these small caps. That is absolutely beautiful trading on that. I mean, think about it. Like, look at the breakdown of some of that structure. When it goes, it just goes. And as a day trader, that's kind of what you want. Like, those are some of the best trades. They don't look back. And when you're like, everybody's been long this thing, and all of a sudden it just cracks. Like, think about having edge A orders just on the break of structure, just horizontal. Some of those consolidations, right? It breaks the intraday one and the morning one back to back. That's absolutely beautiful.
I've never taken, see, it's the interesting thing about applying strategies and setups to different, I've never really tried this setup on a penny stock, but there's literally no difference. Open,
Structure.
support, jump off support, retest the flat bottom, break support, break the flat bottom, short here. It is, show me it's the same setup. It's the same setup, right? Like one doesn't really do anything, but that's the whole idea is you want to take as many positive expectancies. I just didn't do it because it's a penny stock. And in a penny stock, I had this weird anchoring to $1. Where I'm like, yeah, the short's at $1. Wait till it fails $1, but who cares? Like a setup is a setup, who cares? You just got to take positive expectancy. So I would slap a fail on myself because that was an all-day trend that broke on DVLT and then just gave you a 10% move, which is insane. Meanwhile, rig is still exactly where it was before. Down to Sky says, made some nice gain on this tumultuous
Tuesdays or Friday? Today's Friday.
Well, whatever it is, you have just made the word of the day with tumultuous. Nobody says that word around here. I get lots of lead via this channel, so appreciate you. And so thank you all. If you can quickly analyze Enphase, I would appreciate it. So if I can not knock over my mouse there, I will go over to Enphase. If it'll, Friday chart syndrome, see how long it takes to load. The daily chart, it's trying. It's Friday. I think we were talking about this before. Because of the nature of the show, I call up more symbols than literally anybody in the company. It's like I have all these trend lines, so like everything by the end of the week, it's pretty slow. No, so seriously on Enphase, I'm probably gonna have to go to a higher time frame in a second because my first thought immediately is the flattening, and this is something Brian Shannon, when we have him on, talks about, like downward sloping, flattening, or upward sloping 200 period moving averages. So you've got a flattening 200 period, which means it's starting to look better for an upward trend, but even this breakout over the 50 and the 200, it's like temper your expectations because you haven't broken the 200 period trend line. So it's almost like the next bounce ends up being better when it starts to form an upward sloping 200 period. And then you look at the monthly. I like the monthly chart here. That looks like a pretty good bottom shot because I could easily just draw you that and say that you're breaking out here. Yeah, this looks pretty solid for a bounce play. I'm not a huge solar fan. But I know Brian Shannon likes them, and we know others that do as well. But yeah, maybe let it hold the 200 period and the 50 period moving averages. If you're into this sort of thing, it's very close to doing a golden cross, like the 50 period moving average on the daily crosses over the 200. That could easily happen next week if it can keep these gains. And sometimes that's what people look for an entry. I would just prefer this turns into a bit of an upward slope, and then once a 200 is upward sloping, look for that next bounce play and then jump in. They have a lot of room to run, but there's obviously some fundamental things going on. There's probably some, when you think about it, the midterms could actually be a bit of a boost as well for some of the solar names, right? Like that could actually give them a bit of a bump. So that could be your catalyst, is to play into the midterms if you think the Dems would win, and that could help the space. So there's my 2 cents. And my 2 cents on RIME is that it's continuing to go higher.
Yeah, this market is continuing to flush to the downside here, coming into that last half hour. So, yeah, I'm kind of watching this. Rivian's not really doing too much. Maybe some size on that 18 holding it up. It is kind of relatively strong compared to some of the other names. I think some of the better shorts maybe. Was that Apple, Neil? Apple is coming in. Oh, my God. That was the one to get short and stay short as Apple finally, with some distinction, breaks below. Oh boy, look at that. I got some levels in there as well. And I'm telling you, there's levels to this ish. When it comes in, 260s, 258s, finally dumping into the lows here. 258s gives. We're all the way down to 256s. So a nice little flush coming in on Apple relative to the market as well. The market's pulling back decently. Now a full-on 50% reversion here, maybe a little bit more here on the ES. Let's take a look at our other friends here. We looked at Tesla before. We can start off by looking at it again. Back into VWAP right here. Microsoft relatively weaker on a much higher time frame, straight up sideways chop on the day today, but now trading back below VWAP as well. NVIDIA, of course, how can we not talk about NVIDIA? NVIDIA almost at, exactly at day lows right now, breaking those day lows, actually coming into that last half hour. What is a 30-minute look on this? Let's take a quick look. Wow, look at that. That's absolutely beautiful. With about a minute left to finish printing this 30-minute candle on the day. NVIDIA looking absolutely beautiful. Amazon, what are you up to? Okay, so back below VWAP, and wow, look at that. Nice little reversion right here after that bid. Once those sellers step in, it's just off to the races all the way back down into some of these opening range levels here on Amazon, but still within range of that end-of-day consolidation from yesterday.
This is the longest streak in, I think, a year.
For Amazon?
8 straight days. 20 years.
Longest streak of selling?
Yeah, so 2006 was the last time we had this. We'll get 9 straight red sessions, as far as I was seeing here on X today, from a lot of different accounts.
Whoa. That's even worse than I thought. That's nasty for Amazon.
There it is.
But like, it's the kind of streak that usually makes you think, okay, where's the turn going to be? That's a bit much for a stock like that.
Amazon. I mean, here's the thing. We talked about this earlier as well with Softy on that, with those cat ears on or devil's horns or double top or whatever name you want to call it on the weekly. Yeah, people have different names for that. Basically, a failure to follow through of those highs on Softy on the weekly. The market's been pulling back as well. Some aggressive selling coming in this week across the board. You know, we got some strong selling on Apple yesterday and the day before off of that news. Continuation happening today, coming into the end of the day. NVIDIA, all the chips are kind of weak. We saw both Micron and SNDK, one of the stronger chip names over the past couple of months. Those caught a fade. We saw commodities like silver and gold. They were running up pretty aggressively as well. They've started to pull back. So weakness all around, Neil. Is this the top? Is the bubble finally bursting? Or are we just taking a little bit of a pullback? I don't know. Well, I have no idea.
For now,
but the sellers are very dominant.
Yeah, well, for now it feels like more of a top bubble bursting.
Remember those days?
Seems a bit much. Remember the good old days?
Remember the good old days when you used to just come in and, you know, short a bank and it would just continue to just drop? I'm waiting for those days, Neil.
I've said this before. The assumption that back in 2008, all you did was come in and short everything. Yeah. Believe it or not, it wasn't. It's not that it wasn't that easy. Like, there were days that's literally what you did. No, but some of the best days during the financial crisis for a day trader were some of the bounce days. Honestly, like in a super bear market, the bounces that you see are just otherworldly. Insane, so if you came in and something had a bid, I'll be honest. I'm pretty sure I don't want to say all of, but the majority. I would say the majority of my best days in that time frame in each month would have been when there was a big bounce day or relief rally day. Because you would sit there, and if a stock had like just forever bid in the morning, and trust me, sometimes it would be so stupid obvious that you could have half a brain and be like, there's a bid on this today, look at this guy. And you just punch long in front of it. Yeah. And that was your whole day. That was it. Like, you just see one bid on like Citi or some nonsense. You'd punch long sometime in the morning because you saw the refresher buying it, and it's like, yeah, it's been going down every single day. And the one day there's a buyer, you go long and you just kind of hold that trade. And it's a weird thing, but trust me, in bear markets, the crazier the down market is, the better the bounces that you end up eventually seeing. So it's now past 330, by the way.
Okay.
Still nothing on the early look. BMY, XOM, now AMPX. Very, very light on the locator, which is pretty boring for usually on a Friday. Sometimes you're thinking end of week, it'll be pretty exciting. Next week should be the third Friday, so it'll be a little different. Holiday shortened week as well, so you expect to see maybe lighter volumes. Haven't checked XOM. Now that it's up there.
It's been moving around decently.
Well, Randy is about as big of a fan of XOM as you're going to find, so he made it one of his picks as he joined the party. And there's a bit of a pullback happening in this name. Let me double check. I own CVX personally, so a morbid curiosity for myself because I haven't checked it. I want to see where it's. Friday charts. Thank you, Friday charts. Yeah, buddy. CVX is holding up much better. See, I like to see that. You know, if you're in something and I'm like, I think this one's a better one in the space, and I see XOM in the midst of this 2-day pullback, and CVX is barely pulled back. Yes. Feel very, very happy about that. Princess Tequila.
Okay.
Says Obi and Neil, can you go over VSAT?
VSAT. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
100%.
VSAT. What is this thing doing these days?
My charts don't want to load. How does your chart load so fast?
I mean, it's a different chart. So.
Oh, that's no. In all seriousness, blue sky setup much?
At the weekly?
Right?
Okay. Yeah, it's got some room. I mean, it's been. Look at the trend on.
Oh, you go to Obi's chart for a second.
Like this
he has a weekly.
This is a weekly right here, and yeah, what a strong bid all the way coming in. Well, right here, break of this. Is this multi-year? No, but multi-month consolidation here near the lows. You finally break up in the first time you catch a bit of a consolidation, higher highs and higher lows. I guess June, July of 2025, that was the spot to get in. And then talk about another name. I keep seeing these now. You know, people talk about this setup called an episodic pivot, which is made famous by a few people. But shout out to StockB. By the way, recently he had a great interview with, I think, Words of Wisdom. I think that was absolutely solid. Got me thinking about a lot of things there. But he kind of talks about this setup here, where you have this strong earnings on a beaten down stock. Maybe you know what he's talking about it. And then this definitely looks like one of those episodic pivot setups. And that happened in what, August? And we've only been trending since then. So what an absolutely beautiful swing off of that catalyst there, and coming back up into some of these prior highs. 2023s we haven't seen these levels from, but look at this volume as well, increasing volume into that push, decreasing volume on holding higher lows. Beautiful stuff.
No, it's a great looking chart. I think, and once you get through that, I guess it'll be like it's the 50 top, right? Like you do have a ton of room for more. I've always been that guy. I've heard so many people say you should never sell things or trim at 52-week highs and all kinds of stuff. I'm usually in the other direction. Like if I'm owning something because it's a swing trade, then I am that guy who takes out 20% when it gets to a significant high. If it's a long term that you're holding forever, I get that. Like I trim if I think something has changed, right? But in that particular case, it's at a pretty significant level. Like I've never been in a swing trade where I know I'm swing trading something and I don't trim at some kind of a high like that. I feel like you got to get yourself paid. Yeah. But I tend to be very much more, I don't know the word, like dogmatic about my approach to things. Like my stop is my stop, my take profits are my take profits, and I don't leave that much room to interpretation. It's just how I am, I guess.
The Omega Star in the chat saying the episodic pivot from Cal McGee. Yeah, I mean, he definitely popularized it, but you got to go back to the mentors, and one of his mentors was the StockB. So shout out to him for that. But yeah, no, definitely that's the setup I'm talking about. Yeah, and this seems like I mean, I got to go look a little bit deeper into this, but it seems like this is exactly what that kind of comes in line with right here. You have that strong pivot. I don't know what the changes here were, but were there any fundamental changes? The surprise was about 34%, but sometimes this application is not necessarily the most correct. So I got to go back and take a look at what actually happened off of this earnings report, and it's been sustaining levels since then. So like I said, it looks like it. I don't know if it is for sure. Definitely needs a closer look for that one there. Rivian finally coming in, man. So I did. Really I got a little tossed around in this chop, not really giving it real risk, but participating in the move when it is here is what I like about this one. Finally coming in. That 18 was a bit of trouble there, and once it finally does give it up, we get about 20 pennies off the bat there. So decent stuff here on Rivian, as we did take that bit of a reversion. You guys saw I did take the long here at the highs because I was like, how much more is it going to go? And then maybe quadruple down on the size through for when the reversion does come in. So pretty decent move here. Again, in line with the rest of the market. So happened to work out. A little bit of luck, lady luck on our side on the day today. So where is the next trade? Where we only have about 22 minutes left in this trading day. I think maybe looking at the imbalances. The imbalances. Sorry, what was that?
10 to the imbalances. Although there's really nothing.
Sorry, 10 to the imbalances. Yeah,
there's really nothing on the locator for now. RIME it's pressing back into the trend line. It just keeps bouncing off it clean. clean, everybody. It just got to 245. It's almost like it wants that $2.50 level. I'm going to remind myself. Yeah, there's still, I mean, it's starting to really press into some of these. Like look at the rejection highs at 240 and then here at $2. So it's getting into that range where you've had huge rejection in the past. It doesn't actually mean that it's going to break down. And it has shown pretty much no signs of doing anything. DVLT, just oddly enough, since that flush, stopped moving. Completely sideways. It dropped 10%, goes into 75, and has been going sideways ever since. So that's not doing a thing. The market continues to fall. Here, I just slide over and I'll show you guys. Well, that's my 15-minute. We continue to fall over here in the Nasdaq. We've now gone red on the Nasdaq. The ES has been red for a couple points here. Just a couple of points into the downside. Yeah, so starting to look a little bit nastier. And we talked about this yesterday. You care more about late money than early money. So the fact that we're selling off after what was a pretty decent glide higher most of the day. Like it was a very gentle upward trend most of the day. To have it sell off, if we end up closing on the lows, I will come in with the same short bias on Tuesday if we close on lows again. Adara?
Interesting commentary here from the CFTC, or the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. They're coming out here and saying, according to a statement I'm just seeing here, that speculators have turned the most short U.S. dollars since June of 2025. So it looks like, I guess, short interest from speculators in the USD apparently reaching a 8-month high. So again, like more DXY weakness, I guess, in short interest here, basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now 6 days of red for that U.S. dollar. Back to you.
Dixie in the red, not looking good.
You know what? The Dixie kind of, now again, I don't necessarily know the intricacies of how, there's a lot of different factors that can potentially move the dollar, but what I do like looking at is much higher time frame charts. And you can see here, I was watching this one, Neil, when it was coming right back in into 100s right here, and we're consolidating underneath that. We've been doing that for multiple months. As bigger picture, maybe a bit of a decent trend here. Wow, what happened here? That was 1985. Interesting. I got to go back and look at what that was. Not really familiar with historical dollar index movements here, but yeah, great look there. Definitely should be reading up a little bit more about that as I become more comfortable. Expanding my reach in said markets. So not only stocks and futures, but I don't really have too much of an insight on any of the pairs,
so what I know
currency
about,
pairs or anything.
I was young in the 80s. My mom was a real estate agent. Let's just say in the 80s there was insane inflation.
Okay.
Like we talk about, like if you start, we complain about inflation now. The 80s was a different ball game. Like,
Y'all ain't seen nothing.
I didn't understand of anything that was going on at the time, but it was complete insanity. So there was like deliberate devaluation of the U.S. dollar. I
Interesting.
think. Would have been.
People just complain about a lot of things these days, but that's just how people have been.
Anyways, like I said, I was too young to really understand what's going on. But like my parents have told stories about like the harsh realities when you were staring at double digit. Like, your mortgages and like people complain about their mortgages now, and it's like, yeah, you didn't see the 80s, everybody. Completely insane. We're gonna go to, well, I just heard we're going to Adara at the desk again.
We are, and it's Walmart, guys. WMT on watch, waffling around a little bit here as we get CSA reporting that Amazon planning another 225,000 square foot big box physical store in Chicago as it continues its push into big box retail. Now, obviously, this could threaten big box retailers like WMT. I'm going to take a look at Costco here. Costco not really reacting, but Walmart is, again, reacting a little bit to this story, reporting that Amazon planning another 225,000 square foot big box physical store in Chicago, Illinois. Walmart actually reports earnings next Thursday, guys. So we'll get that report less than 1 week from today. Back to you.
At the open, and then just go.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Adara. And I was actually just telling Obi, like he said, look at some of these names that are rallying. Pinterest is back at some highs.
Well, back at day highs. Almost.
What actually happened in even SMR, this one on the daily chart, because we were going over this chart in the afternoon show and just said, hey, look, this is a pretty significant, very significant bottom that you have. Not the actual all-time low or anything like that, but go back to last year, and this would be the April tariff tantrum. The higher low would be off this 13, and you were just pressing that bottom today. And sometimes what'll happen is when you fail to follow through at a massive support level, it is just a snap back trade. That's exactly what Pins did. So it's a good setup. I can look back and just tell myself that I maybe should have, if I was looking long off that pullback instead of the short at the high, just a different ball game. Because the short, the best you could do is get out when it hit the low. But if you're playing that long, you could maybe look for places to reload. Because that's the other side of the trade. Like, it was a false break early, which thankfully got out of the way of it, but there was that higher low that comes in. So when you see these stocks at these big flat bottom break levels, and you're like, yeah, it's going to be a short and blah, 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 you're going to be in it all day long. Not every stock does what, who was it that did that the other day? I'm trying to remember. It was like 2 or 3 days ago, there was something down 20% that just continued for the rest of the session and ended up like down 30. But when they do hold those big levels, you can see the reversal like a pins. So yeah, down 17%, but that doesn't really tell you the story because Pinterest is in an uptrend the entirety of the day. Made its low at 930, higher low, high of the day as the market's pulling back. I still personally don't think I would want to own this stock. And I'm saying that as somebody, I actually owned this during the pandemic because if I'm being real, there were lots of buying opportunities and my wife was on Pinterest a lot. And everyone she knew was on Pinterest a lot. So I'm like, well, pretty much everything looks like an attractive buy. I'll take a shot at this one as well. And literally everything that you bought worked. So you didn't have to be very smart when you were buying pandemic lows. That's the hilarious thing about it. It's like, well, I'm going to buy this for this reason, and I'll buy that for that reason. And literally none of it mattered. You could have just bought anything and you would be just fine. So before we go to Adara, this RIME, for those of you that are keeping track, yeah, there will be no short setup in this. I'm not even going to bother with having the trend line. It's now 350, 345. At this point, this wins. It's not going to give the setup that I'm looking for. Let's go to Adara.
Yeah, I just want to mention here, this is kind of interesting. If you're wondering why NVIDIA is down and AMD is up, I'm just seeing the CNBC article suggesting this move could have to do with comments from the CEO of Arista Networks. So Arista Networks reported earnings last night, and I guess their CEO, Jayshree Ullal, said during the company's conference call that their deployment has shifted a lot to AMD, saying that apparently a year ago, the deployment was pretty much 99% NVIDIA, quote unquote. Now she's saying that when they look at their deployments, they see, quote, about 20%, maybe a little more, 20 to 25%, where AMD is becoming the preferred accelerator of choice. So long story short, the fact that AMD is relatively range-bound and waffling around now, whereas NVIDIA is at its day low, could be because Arista Networks CEO implying that AMD deployment is actually gaining favor versus NVIDIA as of this quarter. Back to you.
Thanks, Adara. And viewers in TikTok, some of our TikTok viewers actually just said, I want to shout out too, because Vithu actually said, I miss Yannick. I can tell you right now, if you're still watching, a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was even 3 weeks ago, a few of the traders from here, Obi was with us, some traders that used to trade on the floor. We had a poker night, and Yanni was there. So Yannick was at our poker game. He's doing well, got to chat with him, got to catch up a little bit. So traders love to hang out and talk shop. So we actually recently had a poker game, and it's always just pretty cool. Arun showed up to the game. He's doing pretty well. He's still trading the futures. So it's always good fun. And it's always fun to see that we have viewers that have been watching for a while and remember, this host or that host, and it's exactly what you think. Like, it's just a great community. So yeah. Next time I see him, I'll even let you know that. I'll let Yannick know that. What the heck, that you were curious how he was doing. Yeah, that's why I'm speechless right now. There is no rhyme or reason as to why I should have used that pun a long time ago. It just came to me now. I'm not that smart.
I used it this morning and no one caught it on the small cap recap, and I was really sad.
Which one?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's my bad. No, that's my fault. Yeah, I should have caught that. Wow. If you had that pun already, I should have caught that. That's entirely my fault. It's Friday. I'm an idiot. That's fine.
What's going on here?
No rhyme. It just all of a sudden, this is the second time I've done this today where it's
looking like an
going
E
and then
candle.
Boom! It just smokes everybody to the upside. So this is one of the biggest, not just for the not just for its own move, but Algorithm Holdings basically came out saying they're going to change the industry in logistics. And we're in a world now where you will see some smaller companies disrupt larger ones. That's what AI is going to do. So if you don't believe it, I'm not saying this stock is going to go on forever. That's really not what I'm getting at. But certainly, this is a big story this week. And don't sleep on this for not Monday, but Tuesday. Another spike.
Wow,
Just broke $3.
Let's go. Buddy is headed straight for the exit on this one. Talk about a squeeze happening live right here.
Bye.
321s. Oh my God. We only have a couple more minutes or a minute left until these imbalances come out. And RIME, whoa.
It's the one right now.
Shout out to anybody who's who took that long there. But if you were short and this is you getting out, apologize for the move.
Whomever
but
accumulated
it
that
is the
stock.
game. It is the game.
Somebody was accumulating this stock. I don't care what anybody says. Somebody was holding that down to accumulate all day long, and then they let it go. And when you let the floodgates go, this is what can happen. But like that's, to me, like the fact that it went this far tells you that it was like all this pent up action that was being held, like all the small volume trying to bring it up. It's like, okay, I can release some and sell some. And then when it goes, they reverse, buy a big chunk, and then bye-bye. You're gone. All the short sellers are out of control. So imbalances are about to drop in just a couple of seconds, and here we go. Nothing crazy. TLT. So yeah, it looks like the 20-year, $3 million to the buy side. You got Rigetti, a sell of 1.3 million. Rivian just showed up there, sell of 1.1. That should be good. You're short Rivian, so that's a sell of 1.1 million. Upstart is a 1 million, just about 1 million sell. Soxs, buy of 900,000. Mara, haven't talked about them in a very long time. 800,000 to buy. Mara is an $8 stock. Ooh, that sucks. Qualcomm 740. I'm not even seeing any of the big cap Nasdaq names.
Google's
here.
up there,
Pretty
kind
much.
of. 600K sell.
Yeah, 600K is the biggest.
That's nothing.
That's pretty much nothing. So the big name will be, I'd say, Rigetti would be remotely interesting. And the TLT. Look, TLT is a perfectly fine vehicle. I see Ja in the chat saying there's your TLT running. But the imbalance on the TLT doesn't usually matter. See that 2.9 million to buy? What does it do? It actually ticks down. I have never seen an imbalance on the Treasury matter.
Here we go, 350s.
It's not going to make a difference, I don't think. It's just, it's too liquid and too big of a market for some imbalance at the end of the day to move it a ton, even if it seems significant. Same thing with a lot of those like leveraged ETFs that you might see in there. So I'm just going to double check on RIME because obviously we just went to 340.
Things could get a little bit wild here going into the last.
That was
last
probably
few minutes.
that was so fast though.
Expect 25 to 50% swipes, maybe.
Somebody just flashed. Are you watching this? The
Oh yeah, I'm watching it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody just took a swipe.
Swipe or no swiping.
Through 330 down to about the quarter. So somebody thinks it's the top. Good luck to whoever it is. I don't know. It could also be somebody covering along. I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly, right? Here's the thing. Some of these things can definitely get going in the after hours as well. You know, the halt band's not really in range on this one just yet, but we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see, right? It is one of the crazier ones. If you took that 250 or that high day breakout, that consolidation, that was pretty aggressive there, and that slapped up all the way to $3 here. But you know what? I'm just kind of focused here on my Rivian. Should have held. I covered a lot here on the 80s right before those imbalances, Neil, and not necessarily the best. I think this is potentially where's VWAP is what I'm asking right here. 17 halves, only about 10 pennies roughly away from there. I did kind of add a decent or a lot more than I currently had left over. But not as much as I had up here. That's maybe the potential issue here on Rivian. But a beautiful reversion coming in with that, not a crazy sell imbalance, but sell imbalance enough on Rivian here as we come into 352. I'm not seeing anything else anywhere else here as of right now. So let me know in the chat if you guys are seeing anything too crazy happening going into the close. RIME is the only one here. Pinterest was pushing its highs there. That was around 15.5s, but that's pulling in here as well. So nothing too crazy going on there. But Pinterest will definitely be on watch for a day 2 move coming in on Tuesday. Don't forget, Monday is a day off, unfortunately. Or fortunately for some.
I see Dexter Smith asking about app and a few other people asking about app, which another day, another high for them. They're going to tag 390 in a quick little second. So looking pretty good. These double tops, man, or double bottoms, I should say. These double bottoms, you've got Robinhood that double bottomed, you've got Coinbase which double bottomed, and now you have this double bottom and another press. As the market pulls back in and you're still pressing into the high, look, it hasn't been a great stock, but at the end of the day, into weakness, you're getting a relief rally. Now, just like I felt about Robinhood, and I said this about Robinhood, I said this about Coinbase, the stocks that have this pattern, holding the low is not enough. It's a start. But you haven't even made a dent here. Like, as good as this might be, that's a great trade all day long. If we lose the support, there's a heck of a lot going down to the downside for app. But look, it's a good start. No questions asked. I see the same thing about Coinbase. I think you look at after that report to hold the double bottom, to at least threaten a potential breakout next week is going to be a good sign. So a second ago, Obi, I was about to say that this dude got the high and was going to be good to go. It's already bouncing off 3, RIME. So that swipe, if I had to guess, whomever is short, probably as an average price in the at best, mid to high 20s, if I were guessing. So they got a chance. But RIME up 190% today. An absolute beast of a stock, hands down. Like, this one kind of took the cake, only because the pattern, like the way that it moved late, did nothing all day long. And then right about just after 2 o'clock when we came on, it went from a complete nothing burger to one of the craziest stocks you're ever going to see. Nuts. Let's go to Adara. 4 minutes to the close. I just had to get out of rig. It literally just doesn't work.
Wow, look at that NVIDIA.
I'll be brief. This isn't news. I just want to let you guys know we have a long weekend. We have lots of time to prepare for the sessions next week. And how better to prepare than to look at this infographic here from Exit GTV Research. Yes, more shameless self-promo over here, because here is our February 17th preview for the day. We have some interesting after the market earnings reports, including Palo Alto Networks and Liputan's former company, Cadence, CDNS. So again, you can find this out now on Exit GTV Research. Furthermore, we have a long weekend, and we've got a lot of posts on Exit GTV Research that will be released over the course of the weekend. Got a lot of stuff on Pinterest earnings, lots on Coinbase earnings. Still, I've been rolling those infographics out, and then also some previews for what's to come this week. But you won't know what unless you go check us out over there. Back to you.
Yeah, great look. And that's the thing, like, make sure you check us out. Make sure your Trader TV Research is your first place to go on X. Why? Because, heck, it's one of the first places I go for information. If I want to get a recap on earnings, then I want to make sure I'm pointing at Adara. I know it's a Trader TV post, but it's all Adara. Let's be real. Let's just be real about it. She does the whole thing. But I got to show, we have 3 minutes to go. And I know there was someone in the chat, maybe a couple people who are saying, well, how do you catch a move like RIME? First of all, I didn't catch this. And I think a lot of people were thinking the stock was just dead and doing nothing. Your best bet is have a volume. If you have a list of stocks that you're mildly in play, and then set up some kind of a volume scan, because when this did eventually break the wedge, because it had higher lows going on, and it's hard to draw them now, but it had I can't do it. I'm not going to do the top. It had higher lows and lower highs into a wedge. But you could see volume start to pick up. See how volume's starting to pick up? There's a world where if you get the notification, this is a 3-minute chart, right? So if you enter on the second bar, you're getting this under 140. Even if you enter somewhere on the third bar, you're getting it underneath $150. As you see the volume start to accelerate. So what you really need is a volume scanner. But that scanner's got to make sure that it picks up a stock like this. So either you have it on a short list because it's in play, And one thing you can do is when you see our free watch list every day and Sharif's note that you get as a subscriber, don't just take that list from today and ignore it the next day. Something in play the day before is valid. Like, I have on my iPad, like, all the names I'm watching. I don't just throw out a name because it was in play yesterday and it's not going to be there today. So even going back and looking at the names that were there the prior day, keeping them on your watch list, keeping them on your quote board so you get the volume spikes in them, because RIME got left for dead. It was doing absolutely nothing. It was a day 2 play that did absolutely nothing for most of the day, and out of nowhere at 2 o'clock, it becomes the best stock you could have possibly been looking at or trading. So you don't know. Just make sure you got a scanner out there, and it starts with having it on your list. That's why we go through the process in the pre-market every day. That's why we have our watch list. That's why we do this for everybody. 1 minute to go, everybody. And, oh yeah, Backbone, this is a good point. If I didn't say this, I probably just said volume. Relative volume is what you want. So if I only said volume, it is relative volume, because it's not just how much, it's doing a decent amount of volume on the session, but the relative volume spikes. My guess is there's no chance, if you had a relative volume scanner, this thing popped to the top of your list, your scanner, or your scanner is broken. So it's a relative volume scan that you want. Less than a minute to go here, Obi. Any final thoughts?
I mean, you know what? I don't really see too much on the board here. We talked about that NVIDIA, Amazon, and Apple flipping up. NVIDIA was a sell, flipped back to a buy there. 1 million buys across the board. We did get a pop across all those 3 names. I was watching this NVIDIA here at 82 halves, but nothing too crazy. Comes up into 83s, a little muted. But the market here, you can see coming into the close, this last 15-minute candle is printing strong and green, back above 24.8. So we found some balance. Pretty much sideways chop here. Still, we close within the opening range. You can see here 0.13% here on the Nasdaq, and then just pretty much flat, minus 0.03 here on the ES. 3, 2, and 1.
And there it is.
Nice.
So Adara did get to ring the bell. And I can tell you, despite the fact that Adara was wearing red, the Nasdaq does open up close to 0.2% to the upside. The ES sneaks it out in the green, 0.06%. And RIME is
350s.
Still
what did we say?
Higher. 350, 360, 370, 380. This stock is insane. 250%. This was yesterday's story, and then turned out all afternoon. What an unbelievably absurd stock this has been. Hope some of you were able to catch this one, as I was waiting for even a bit of a play to the downside if it could have turned. DVLT even caught a little bit of a bid at the end of the day. Just a reminder, everybody. I know we've said it before, but I don't want anyone showing up on Monday. It's a holiday. I want you to enjoy your long weekend. Of course, I want to give a big thank you to Obi for filling in for Sean. Let's all say good luck and go get him, Gia. She has like a bajillion hockey games. That's where Sean is. So she has some big tournaments over the weekend. That's where she's going to be. Big shout out to Sharif, of course, and Joey Options, as always. Adara doing a fantastic job. Sia, who wasn't here today, but doing a great job this week. Fabian, Ramin, Andre, Brendo, the entire team here. Big shout out, of course, to Michael Noss, our guest this morning as well. We have a lot of fun doing it. And the best part about it, we get to do it all again next week. On Tuesday, everybody. And anybody that says Monday is just getting it wrong. Is Adara, do that dance move again, please.
Doing the long weekend dance.
I don't know. It's a dance. I didn't know it was going to be on camera.
What? It's a weekend. It's a long weekend. Enjoy yourself. Dance if you want to, but make sure you're back here at 8 a.m. Tuesday morning, because we're Trader TV Live. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Yeah.